Yay Networks.
Welcome to another episode of A Sandwich and Some Lovin'. It's going to be a lot of sandwich tonight, not a lot of lovin' because I'm your host, Kellie Raspberry Evans, and I'm coming to you solo. It was a last-minute call, last-minute judgment call on my part as I looked over at my husband, all cuddled up on the couch, sleeping off our rainy Memorial Day party. You know, we were so excited about having our annual Memorial Day party, which got canceled last year for obvious reasons, but we were all prepared for today. The day I'm recording this is on Memorial Day night. And Alan has been working so hard getting the outside of the house ready. I mean, he's been working in the flower beds. We even bought this new bar area. He planted flags outside, got all the landscaping just perfect. He even washed the windows. He got everything ready. And every day we're looking at the weather forecast. Not looking good, not looking good. It's not looking good, but fingers crossed it's going to be great. And we woke up this morning to pouring rain. So it was fine. We still had the Memorial Day party. It became more of a house party, and we were trying to have a good attitude about it because we're like, you know what? Let's just pretend if this was any other time of year when it wouldn't be a pool party, we'd just have people over anyway and it'd just be a house party. But there was a break in the rain for a little bit. So we were able to get in the hot tub for a minute. I know I have a thing about hot tubs. We even talked about that. My thing is those self-standing hot tubs that are kind of skeezy. I just have this visual of, a lot of people having sex in them and it's like sex soup and grosses me out. But the one attached to my pool doesn't bother me so much, but it was fun. We had, some of the usual cast of characters you've heard us talk about on the podcast, Bad Influence. Jeff came over with KK and we had a big time contributor to our podcast, Andrea Dowling-Gullidge. She is constantly sending us stuff to do for the podcast. And we honestly, some nights could not do it without her. She's so great. But she was telling me tonight, she said, I grew up in Fort Worth, Texas. You have said my maiden name. You've said my married name. You've said all my names. And not one person that I've known from Fort Worth has ever come up to me and said they've heard me being talked about on A Sandwich and Some Lovin'. That was like a little dagger to my heart. That made me think, wow, is nobody listening that ever knew Andrea Dowling-Gullidge? So I'm just reaching out to anybody who maybe knew her as Andrea Dowling, a little girl with those little Coke bottle glasses and that curly hair up in pigtails. If you knew Andrea back in the day, it would make me feel better to know that you are listening and that you reached out to Andrea and said, hey, yeah, I heard Kellie talking about you on that podcast that, her husband bailed on because he had a little too much to drink. But that's okay. I don't mind. Bad Influence Jeff was here. He was, getting shots poured for people. Oh, and Melissa and David from our podcast family, Laura and Kay Shelton were here. Oh gosh, I'm going to leave people out now. It's going to be bad. Susan and Craig. It was just like a nice little group of us, Ashley and Tom. Gosh, I'm gonna stop. But it wasn't out of control party, but it was fun. And you could hardly tell anybody was here except for the leftover food and a lot of leftover booze. But your girl, Kellie Raspberry Evans, she was a good girl. I had a couple of buzz balls many hours ago, but I am sober and I am here, unlike my husband, who is not sober and not here. But I do this podcast without him, and I'm actually kind of excited, I'll be honest, because I want to talk a little bit about the upcoming Bachelorette season. And my husband, I could already hear him going, yeah, or whatever noise you hear come out of him from time to time. Yeah, is that it? Yeah, something like that. But yeah, I was, I have to gather gossip all the time for the Kid Craddock morning show. Yes, nationally syndicated. Let me pick up that dime I just dropped. See, it's like Alan's still here. I'm saying all the crap he would have said anyway. But I was doing some research for gossip stories, and I came across this article about how much these people get paid. Have you ever wondered that? Because the Bachelorette is coming back on June 7th, Monday night, June 7th. So next week. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm not really that excited. I think last season with Matt James as the Bachelor, just the whole fallout from all of that and the drama, it just left such a bad taste in my mouth. I'm like, do I still want to do this? Is the show losing the fun for me? Because half the fun has been making fun of all these, people that get really drunk in hot tubs and, sex soup in hot tubs and all that stuff and all the silliness of it. And then it just got so heavy, with his final choice being Rachel Kirkconnell. And then she went to like a college party. It was a Southern Belle plantation party. And then, she was called out for being a racist for that. And I think she also had liked some posts or something. I didn't really dive deep into that story, but I think she liked some posts of Confederate flags or something like that. And that caused Matt and her to break up. But if you've been keeping up in the gossip columns, you know that Matt and Rachel are working things out. They've put in the work on, their relationship. She's been doing the work on her behavior, and they're all figuring it out and talking about moving in together. Good for them. But, Chris Harrison, who I've always said he's such a liar. He's a nice guy. He's very nice. He's very handsome. But many, many years ago, he came into the Kid Craddock morning show studios, nationally syndicated. Let me pick up that dime again. And he just flat out lied to us about some stuff that was going to be happening on The Bachelor. Now, I cannot remember what it was. It's been so many years. I cannot remember what it was. But the whole show just remembers. I mean, we still talk about it. He just lied to us. And I know that's part of the gig, but it just made us mad. And we've never gotten over it. But I'm sure he's a very nice man. In fact, his very handsome son, we talked about this on a previous podcast. He's going to college right up the road from us. Anyway, I digress. He's not coming back to host The Bachelorette, which has been divided up into 2 seasons, because he kind of defended Rachel Kirkconnell and said, oh, she's a nice girl. What she did would have been acceptable a few years ago, but it's not acceptable now. And so I'm like, ooh, that was bad. So he's out as the host of the upcoming Bachelorette, the next 2. Because remember, Katie Thurston, the one that showed up with, this is not a child's podcast, but, I don't really like to be vulgar, but she showed up with a vibrator, like shaped like a man's appendage when she met Matt getting out of the limousine. And I thought that was, in poor taste. I didn't think that was, but you know what? It left an impression. He thought it was funny and it was fine with him. So who am I to judge, right? I'm not personally going to show up with a vibrator as my first impression. And then Michelle Young so Katie Thurston, she's going to be the first Bachelorette, but then Michelle Young. Now, if you remember her, if you watched The Bachelor, they brought in a group of women a couple of weeks in. So after Matt had already let some women go, they brought in 4, 5, 6, something like that, other women. And Michelle was one of that second batch that came in. And I honestly thought she was such an excellent match for Matt. But, because they were both doing like self-serve, what's the word? Service to others. Like he does a lot of charity work and she works with kids. And I just thought they were just honestly a better match, but he was so smitten by Rachel. That was done. There was no getting over that. So Katie Thurston's going to be the first Bachelorette. And then when she's done, and let me think, Caitlin Bristow and who? Oh, I can't remember. Somebody else is going to be, there's going to be 2 hosts. Chris can't do it. So it's not JoJo. And if Alan was here, he couldn't tell me anyway, but it's Caitlin Bristow and another chick going to be the hosts. All right. So that starts Monday, June 7th. All right. We have to ask, after all the drama, why do people keep signing up for this show? Why are they signing up for either The Bachelor to be one of the women fighting for the final rose? Or why do you sign up to, if you become one of those contestants, that's your doorway into becoming the Bachelor or the Bachelorette. Or why do these guys keep doing it? Are they all there for the right reasons? Well, no, they're not all there for the right reasons. No matter what they say in those stupid confessionals, they're not all there for the right reasons. They're there for the money, right? We're not really sure how much everybody gets paid to be the main Bachelor or Bachelorette. But this lady that used to work for the show back in 2018, she wrote a book called Bachelor Nation. And she said it's incredibly rare for someone to make less than six figures as the Bachelor or Bachelorette. But you remember Emily Maynard, that cute little blonde she said it was the fiance who died in the NASCAR race, but she was pregnant when he died. It was really a scandalous thing behind the scenes. But anyway, she was like that real sympathetic, so pretty little China doll is what she was like. And she reportedly negotiated $250,000 when she became the Bachelorette. And I think that was unheard of at the time. And she did not have to do the fantasy suites. The overnight sleep. She said, no, I'm not doing that. I have a little girl watching me, and I don't want her thinking, and the rest of America thinking, that her mama slept with 4 different guys. Isn't that how many's the last, is it 3? It's been so long, I can't remember. Anyway, this woman wrote an article for Cosmopolitan online. Her name's Mahara Bonner. So I'm going to give her credit for all this because she did the digging. I didn't do any of the digging, but I'm going to tell you what she found out about how much these people make. And some of you listening, because I know one of our listeners, I'm not going to bust her right now, but she put her name in the hat for Matt James' season. She didn't get picked, but I think she should have, and she's still single. So if anybody is looking and wants to have a lovely nurse as a potential mate for some guy that you know that make a wonderful catch, she is, I think she's close to 30 at this point. She's not 30 yet, but she's getting she's between 25 and 30. I haven't asked her how old she is lately, but she's a wonderful catch. And she'll be with us on our upcoming family vacation to Mexico. So that's all the hints I'm going to give. And if she would give me her blessing, I'd tell you her name, but I'm not going to do that. But before we get to money and Bachelor and Bachelorette talk, let me tell you this. When it comes to getting dressed for the day, if your dad is like most dads, all they care about is functionality over aesthetics. In fact, a prime example of this is my father-in-law, Alan's dad. Listen, just give him a black t-shirt and a pair of jeans or jorts, and he is good for pretty much any occasion. But it's Father's Day in just a couple weeks, and we know Dad likes his basics, his go-to outfit. But why can't we elevate Dad's look with Cuts? Cuts clothing. The perfect Father's Day's gifts are right there with premium essentials. They are as comfortable as they are stylish. It is truly the best of both worlds. They've got classic, universally flattering designs, comfortable textile technology. Cuts is basically the Tesla of t-shirts and hoodies, polos, sweatshirts. When Alan opened his package of Cuts clothing, he just picked it up and he just couldn't get over how soft this fabric was in his hands. Imagine just in your hands what it feels like on your body. From Cuts' signature buttery soft Pica Pro Tri-Blend tees to their cozy Hyperloop French terry fabric hoodies, Cuts elevates clothing staples with cutting-edge fabric technology. Dad's going to have a hard time taking off Cuts clothes, and you'll have to resist the urge to borrow them. You know, I want to borrow Alan's stuff. Y'all should see when I go for his stuff. He does not like that at all. But each piece of clothing is designed to be versatile and minimalist to look great for any occasion. Plus, the fabrics are comfortable enough for lazy afternoons without compromising on style that fits right into the executive boardroom. Although we have to tell my father-in-law he can't wear jorts into the boardroom, but he can wear that cozy Cuts tee and look fabulous. GQ magazine, in fact, calls Cuts Classic Pica Pro Tri-Blend tee the only shirt worth wearing. It's time the dad in your life finds out why. This Father's Day, give Dad the gift of something that he'll both feel good and look great in anytime with Cuts clothing. Plus, you get 15% off your first order by going to cutsclothing.com/sandwich. That's cutsclothing.com/sandwich for 15% off the only shirt worth wearing. And now, let's get back to Bachelor and Bachelorette talk. I'm free to talk whatever I want to, what I want to talk about, because Alan's in there sawing logs. Seriously. I mean, like snoring. He didn't have time to put his dental appliance in, so I got to wake him up to put that in before we go to bed. All right. What we got to here. Okay, Emily Maynard, we talked about her. She negotiated $250,000 and did not have to do the fantasy suites. But what happens after you are the Bachelor or the Bachelorette? Now, it's come to mean right after that, you get a direct ticket to Dancing with the Stars, right? And according to Gawker, if you follow that website, they say contestants on Dancing with the Stars make $125,000 just for signing up. Well, there's your motivation right there. Because you've got a lot of those really older contestants who do that show, and they're not going to make it very far. But just for signing up, $125,000? Even if you get booted the first week, it's embarrassing, yes, but you've got your name back out there, especially if you haven't been, in the public eye for a long time. It's a great way to rehab your image too on Dancing with the Stars. You take somebody who's got like a bad reputation from a reality show for being a jerk or something, or maybe they've had bad press in the past and they want to rehab their image. They come on Dancing with the Stars. You get to know them personally. You get to see their little packages and how hard they work, and they cry. And they have that week where it's the most memorable year of my life, and they dance and cry. It's beautiful. And it's a great way to rehab your image, and it can lead to other really high-paying gigs. Okay, so according to Gawker, just to sign up, $125,000. And if you stay on every week, it's more money. In fact, if you make it all the way to the end, you can earn up to $345,000. So there you go. And that's just for, not even 4 months' work, maybe? So that's good. Now, okay, so that's if you become the Bachelor or the Bachelorette. Right after you give that final rose, you go on Dancing with the Stars for a few months. But what if you not only get engaged, you actually want to get married? Now, there was a time when ABC would pay you to televise the wedding. Remember when Trista Rehn, she was the first Bachelorette and the first one to have her wedding on TV, and that was to Ryan Sutter, still married, and she got paid $1 million for that. Now, I remember Sean Lowe, Bachelor Sean Lowe. He got married on TV. I have no idea how much he got paid. I don't think he would tell me. Maybe he would. Maybe over a bottle of wine. Maybe I should have invited him to the Memorial Day pool party and gotten him drunk, and he maybe could have told me, but he did not because I didn't invite him. My bad. But we've had other bachelors and bachelorettes, they get engaged, and they either never get married, number one, or they wait too long, and then people lose interest. And you got to strike while the iron's hot, because, I remember the Bachelor Rachel. Was it Rachel? Rachel Lindsay. She got engaged, but she waited to get married. And then finally, when she decided, okay, we got engaged, but now we're going to get to know each other, and they dated for a couple years. Well, by the time they were ready to tie the knot, ABC said, we're going to pass on it. And ultimately, she said she's glad of that because she got to have the wedding she wanted on her, she didn't have to worry about, timing it for commercial breaks or having to do certain elements to the wedding. She got the wedding she wanted. She just didn't get paid to have it. So anyway, there's that. But let's see. Even if a woman, I'm going back to the article. Thank you to Mahara Bonner from Cosmopolitan for this. She said, even if a woman never gets the final rose, so you're a contestant and, like Matt James' season, there were 20-something women who never got the final rose. Only 2 of them have gone on. That was a new thing. 2 of them are going on to be the Bachelorette. What about everybody else? What do they get? You know what's more valuable than that final rose for these women? Instagram followers. Because all of these women, first thing you do is, especially if you see a crazy nutty one or the really pretty one, you're like, oh my gosh, she's absolutely, I love her. I want to know more about her. I want to dress like her, everything. First thing you do is you go look for them on Instagram and you follow them. And so overnight, boom, they become influencers. And because the more people they have following them, they get paid to endorse stuff. And here's the problem is their Instagram feeds, once they do the show, suddenly become extremely boring because everything they post is an ad for some tea to make your stomach flat, gummies to make your hair grow, or, Spanx or whatever body shaper. They're all doing that. So the balance is you've got to put out some content to make you still seem interesting and not just ad after ad after ad after ad. It's really a lot of work. But there's one influencer agent, because I know a couple of people who've been on reality shows and they have agents that are on. My one friend, she has an agent on the West Coast and on the East Coast. And they're like, what's your niche? What's your thing? Because there's a million pretty girls on Instagram trying to sell, diet teas. But what is your thing, And so they have agents constantly pitching them products. But according to this one influencer agent, her name's Sarah Boyd, and she works with a lot of former Bachelor contestants. She says reality stars can bring in as little as $5,000 or as much as $15,000 a month. And that's just, posting, just depending on how many followers you have and how, adamant you are about posting and the response they get. But then, in addition to the Instagram posts, there are the podcast deals, book deals. Boy, Alan and I just rake in so much money from our podcast. It's crazy. I'm joking. But there are some podcasters you hear, Joe Rogan, astronomical amounts of money that he makes. But, I don't think anybody comes close to him. Well, maybe they do. But, there's money there. And then if you do a tell-all book, and what they used to make the money from all these Bachelor and Bachelorette contestants was going around and doing personal appearances at clubs. So you get paid just to show up and hang out in the VIP area, and people, quote unquote, party with you. Although if you've ever been to one of those events, I remember when the Super Bowl came to Dallas, and we could have gone, there was a hotel we always hung out in. Always hung out. I'm Kellie Raspberry from the Kid Craddock Morning Show, nationally syndicated. You would think the hotel where I always hung out in every weekend, we were always there. We would do girls' nights there. We'd get hotel rooms, eat dinner there, always partied there when I was younger and single. And gosh, how many years has it been since the Super Bowl came to Dallas? This is many, many years ago. We couldn't get into the Zaza unless you had to buy all these tickets and all this stuff because there was a chance you could party. Who was the celebrity that night? It was some random person like from Baywatch, maybe Pam Anderson, somebody like that, who had maybe been a huge A-lister many years ago, but now was, a few notches down, maybe C-list. But you could come and hang out with and party with Pam Anderson, whoever it was, Carmen Electra, somebody like that. But they're in a VIP section stuck so far in the back of the club, you never see them. So just keep that in mind if ever you're tempted to go hang out in some club where you get to party with a celebrity. If you're lucky, they might get on the mic in the DJ booth and say, "Hey, thanks for coming out to celebrate my birthday." That's a big one too. Kim Kardashian's going to celebrate her birthday at this casino in Las Vegas. She'll pop up on the VIP booth and wave to everybody, and then she goes back and hangs out with her friends. Don't waste your money. All right, moving on. What about Bachelor in Paradise? Okay. Most bachelorettes apparently don't go on Bachelor in Paradise because it is considered a step down. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't watched a lot of Bachelor in Paradise. It's just a lot of hooking up, right? How is that really that much different than Bachelor and Bachelorette? I'm not sure. But they said unlike the Bachelor and the Bachelorette, which can actually cost contestants money, because what happens? You have to walk away from your job, and a lot of people get fired because their bosses are like, back in the day, you had to be hush hush, top secret. You couldn't say where you're going. I don't know if that's still the case, but they were like, boss, I'm going to have to take a 3-month leave of absence, and I can't really tell you why. A lot of them just lost their job, or at least they didn't get paid. And when you're just a contestant, they don't provide your clothes. You have to go out and buy your own stuff for all these cocktail parties and all these fantasy dates. You got to be ready, and you have to have a whole wardrobe. So there's a lot of money that, comes out of your pocket if you're going to be one of these contestants. But according to this article, the Bachelor in Paradise cast makes anywhere from about $7,000 to $15,000 total. That's according to Reality Steve, actually. Now, Bachelor in Paradise isn't as big of a commitment. You're not there quite as long as you would be if you went all the way on The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. But Dean Unglert and Jason Tartick, they have both been contestants on The Bachelorette, right? And Jason now has a Trading Secrets podcast, and they were recently talking about how much they got paid. So this is straight from the horse's mouth here. So Dean first competed on Rachel Lindsay's season of The Bachelorette in 2017. And okay, so Rachel Lindsay we just talked about. She got engaged, but took forever to get married and had to pay for her own wedding. Boo-hoo. And then she ended up doing a Bachelorette tell-all podcast for a couple years. She was under contract, but the minute that contract was up, she's like, I'm out. There's just too much drama with this franchise, and it's not fun anymore to her. Like, it's not becoming fun to me too. So I don't even know if I'm going to watch after this. But the money I thought was interesting. All right. So Dean said when he was asked to do season 4 of Bachelor in Paradise, this was season 4, he was offered about $400 a day. And he was like, oh, that sounds great. But then his friends were like, dude, you could get more than $400 a day. So he decided to ask for $800 a day. But then they compromised and settled for a $600. That's what they counteroffered with. And he said, I'll take it. So he got $600 a day for season 4 of Bachelor in Paradise. But he said some cast members were able to get up to $1,000 a day. I guess if they, lasted a little bit longer in the season and had more of a fan base. And if you play the game right, you could be on Bachelor in Paradise up to 30 days. So 30 days times $1,000 a day or $600 a day, that's good money, especially when you're trying to, man, do I want to go back to my job as what was he? I don't know. Was he an insurance salesman? Was he a dog walker? We don't know. I don't remember what Dean did, but that was good money to him. And then Jason Tartick, now he was on Becca Kufrin's season of The Bachelorette in 2018. And Becca was the one who was doing that podcast with Rachel Lindsay. Now let's remember Becca Kufrin. Wasn't she the one that Ari Lewandike chose and then changed his mind and went back and got the runner-up? And Becca was like devastated because she got the proposal and then got broken up with. And everybody hated Ari Lewandike, but he ended up getting married and they're having more babies in Hawaii now. And Becca, she came back and was the Bachelorette, and she ended up getting engaged to a guy, but they just broke up because I think he was like really conservative and pro, like back the blue, and she didn't like that. Anyway, so Jason, he went on Bachelor in Paradise right after that. No, that's wrong. He was able to negotiate $600 a day for Bachelor in Paradise with a $5,000 guarantee, just in case he didn't make it past the first week. He's like, I'm going to do this, but I can't walk away from my job. You got to make this worth my while. But Jason opted out. He did not end up doing the show, which ended up being for the best because he started dating Caitlin Bristow. And they just got engaged a few weeks ago, if you keep up with her. So there you go. And by the way, Jason and Dean also discussed that because they made it long enough in their season as Bachelorette contestants, that they were in talks to become the lead, the Bachelor. Dean said he had a contract for $75,000 as the Bachelor for season 22. But that's the one that Ari Lewandike got. Remember, they went back to the well and got him. And then Jason said when he was trying to be, he was in the running with Blake Horstman. I think he ended up being engaged to Becca, and Colton Underwood to be the next season 23's lead. And he said all three of them were offered $100,000. And Colton ultimately landed that gig, and Colton ended up being gay. And that's where we stand with our whole Bachelor. That's all the information I have with all their money. But I thought that was interesting, and I hope you did too. And if you didn't think it was interesting, you didn't stick with me this far in the podcast. But for everybody else, thank you for hanging in there with me. When Alan and I first got married, we slept on a queen-size mattress. We tried to convince ourselves it was a great mattress, but I'll be honest, the mattress sagged in the middle. I didn't realize it till he was sleeping in the bed with me, and we'd both kind of like end up folded into the middle of the mattress together. And as you've heard us both say way too many times, we're big people. Now, at first, we were newlyweds and cuddling at night. Oh, we're so romantic. We're so in love. But we were hot, super hot. So after a couple years, we were like, enough of this. It's time to get a king-size mattress. So I did a bunch of research. I showed it all to Alan before we made the decision. We're going to upgrade to a Helix mattress. And we have been thrilled since the day we unboxed it. Now, Helix Sleep has a quiz. It takes 2 minutes to complete. It matches your body type and your sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you, as a couple as well. Why would you buy a mattress made for somebody else? With Helix, you're getting a mattress you know is going to be perfect for the way you or you too sleep. Everybody's unique. Helix knows that. So they've got several different mattress models to choose from. They've got soft, medium, and firm mattresses. They've got mattresses great for cooling you down if you sleep hot. Hello, speaking to me, and even a Helix Plus mattress for plus size people. Now, we took the Helix quiz and we were matched with the Dusk Luxe mattress because we wanted something firm, and we're both side sleepers, but we do flop over. We don't stay in the same position. We flop from side to side during the night, but we never disturb each other because of our great big king size Dusk Luxe from Helix. And I never thought it was possible to get a great mattress online. I was a huge skeptic, but I've never been more thrilled with a mattress in my life. No less than once a week, Alan and I are bragging about how much we love our mattress. And we literally just recommended one to Alan's sister and to my really good friend, John. So if you're looking for a mattress, go take the quiz, order the mattress you're matched to, and the mattress comes right to your door, shipped for free. You don't ever have to go to a mattress store again. Helix is awesome, but if you don't take our word for it, Helix was awarded the #1 best overall mattress pick of 2020 by GQ and Wired magazine. That's where I first discovered them. And you go to helix.com/sandwich, take that 2-minute sleep quiz. They'll match you to the customized mattress to give you the best sleep of your life. They've got a 10-year warranty, and you get to try it out for 100 nights risk-free. They'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it, but I know you will. And Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/sandwich. That's helixsleep.com/sandwich for up to $200 off and 2 free pillows. I promise you'll love it. Go check that out. All right, so Memorial Day, it's our annual tradition, except for last year, to have a big group of people over, and, we get in the pool, we have cocktails, it's a bunch of buffoonery. And, Alan and I, we were talking about how maybe next year we're going to change that to the weekend, that's Sunday. I always feel kind of odd about just being, silly and buffoons on Memorial Day, right? Because we have to remember the true meaning of what this holiday is. This is a holiday meant to stop and remember the men and women whose blood was shed, whose lives are lost. So we have the freedom to act like buffoons in the backyard, on this holiday. So, I know a lot of people, celebrate and wave and just have fun. And it's not to take away from people's good time, but it's also really important to really, honor what the day is about. So I think what we're going to do next year is probably move the party to the weekend, not actual Memorial Day. I don't know. I just always felt not quite 100% good about that. So, we like kicking off the summer. That's what, Memorial Day weekend, is for a lot of people, the official kickoff of summer. But we also want to pay it the respect that it deserves too. So that's probably what we're going to do moving forward. In fact, I'm pretty confident saying that is exactly what we're going to do moving forward. But for those of you who are listening that, you are serving in our military, I know we do have a lot of active members of the military who listen to our podcast. Thank you so much for what you do every day. I don't want you to ever feel like it goes unappreciated. I know a lot of times it does feel that way, but please know that we appreciate you. And, even though we're acting like buffoons on your day, Memorial Day, I know this is for the people who've lost their lives and who gave all, but, also we want to honor our military today too. And for those of you who have lost family members, or you're the family members of people who serve, it's a sacrifice for you as well. Seeing your loved ones go off to, lands that are, scary. We see it on the news and it's scary stuff that they're facing. And we just, breathe that sigh of relief when they show back up on your doorstep and you can put your arms around them again. And it's a big sacrifice you make as the parent or the sibling or the spouse, or even, just the lover of a member of our military. So thank you for your sacrifices you make as well. And let's see, who else do I need to thank? That's it. The people who have served, who continue to serve, and who love those that serve. Thank you all for your sacrifices and for being a part of our podcast family. Alan and I, we've actually, gotten to know so many of you on a personal level. I know we have the people that get together. I'm not recording this on the YouTube channel tonight, but there's a little chat room that people like to get in there, and they've never met, but they feel like they're friends because of that chat room. And you are, friendships are different now, and they don't have to all look the same. And we have friends that we may never meet, but they're closer to us online through these little chat rooms than they are some of our very own, next door neighbors that you never meet because they just go into the garage, shut the door, and it's like, oh, who lives in that house next door? You don't even know half the time anymore. So our podcast family has become such a wonderful thing, and we're just so blessed to, have some of them over at our house today to help us, have this Memorial Day buffoonery that we tried to salvage out of this rainy day. We only had one poop and one pee accident, but they were both by the dogs, so don't worry about that. They got a little overexcited, overstimulated, but it was a good time. And Alan would be very upset with me if I did not remind everybody of a couple things. Let's see, we're recording this on May 31st, so we're kicking off brand new month of June. On June 12th, Oaked Barbecue Restaurant, that's the restaurant that we have invested in. And, we believe in the food. We believe in the people. It's a wonderful restaurant. And if you're in the Dallas area at all on June 12th, we're having the kickoff, what's going to be an annual event, Barbecue Bash. You can go to the Oaked, it's OAKD BBQ. I think that's the Instagram, but it's OAK''D. That's how it's spelled. But Oaked Barbecue, go to their Instagram, and in the bio, there's a link there. You can click for tickets. It's $15, and that's for all the food, okay? And so you don't have to lay down another $1 for food that night. There is like a little service charge that goes with it, just for it ends up being, I think I ordered a couple of tickets, like $18 or something after you have the service charges. It's going to be a cash bar, but there's going to be live music. It's going to be so much fun. And I know a lot of our podcast family is going to be there. And it's from 6 to 10, I think, on that Saturday night, June 12th. So I hope you can make that. If you can't, we hope you can join us in Mexico. There hopefully are still some rooms available. Now, the package that our travel agent, Judy, came up with, bless her heart, Judy, we had to take a guess at how many rooms we were going to need. And, our first year doing the trip in 2019 for our podcast family vacation to the Valentin Imperial in just outside of Cancun in Mexico, we had about 40 people. And so for the next year, we thought maybe it'd be about 50. And total, not 50 rooms, 50 people. And so for this, 2020 all got canceled. That's when we thought we'd have about 50, just gradually growing it. Well, this year, because, COVID is hopefully behind us for the most part, and people are like, I just got to get out. I want to go do something. I want to have a good time this summer. We were shocked at how many people were like, we want to go. So she blocked off initially 50 rooms, but that wasn't every room at the hotel. We don't want you to think just because that block of rooms is gone that there are no rooms available. Judy can work with you on that. So if you just like to get some information on, Alan and I are going to be there July 3rd through the 10th. We're going Saturday to Saturday. Some people can't do that. And I understand. I'm kind of shocked we're going that long, but Alan just he wanted to do it. I'm like, okay, honey, I'm down for the ride. So we're going to be there that entire time. But some people are going to come in maybe on Tuesday through Saturday. Some people are coming maybe Thursday through Sunday, whatever works for your schedule. You can still be a part of it, even if you can't be there the entire time. But if you go to kellyandalan.com/vacation? Yeah. kellyandalan.com/vacation. It'll just do a little form, and you can get some information on the trip. That's it. And it's not an obligation. You can just find out what's still available, what rooms are available. I know they have, for the package she got, it was just a basic junior suite. They have swim up rooms. They have big, massive suites and stuff. If you're fancy, go for it. But there's all sorts of packages. Judy can help you work something out. So we'd love to have more of you go. I don't know how, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're basically taking over the resort, it feels like, of a sandwich and some Lovin. And Alan and I are, dreaming for, future trips. Wouldn't it be wonderful? The Valentin Imperial is a huge hotel. It's got hundreds and hundreds of rooms. But what if next year, we could get one of the, maybe not Valentin Imperial, maybe it will be. We don't know. We're just talking. And it might not be next year, but maybe in the future. What if we take over an entire resort, an entire boutique hotel, and it's all just our people? Wouldn't that be fun? our family, our podcast family, taking over a resort for an entire week. That's daydream stuff, but we're, dream big, right? We're going to dream big. And whatever we do, we're going to do it together because we could not do this podcast without you. Although it turns out I can do at least one episode without Alan. But without you listening, we absolutely could not do the podcast. So I'm not mad at Alan at all. In fact, I was the one that said, honey, wake up long enough to go turn on the recorder for me. Just wake up long enough to go hit the record button and you can go back to sleep. And that's what he's doing right now. He's cuddled up with our dogs, Zoe, and our dog Larry, Zoe and Larry. And we are pretty sure Larry's the one that peed on the floor. We know for sure he's the one that pooped because he has that perfect spot he goes to. But the pee, we're pretty sure that was Larry as well. But I love him. He's my little misfit mutt, and I love him. And Alan deep down loves him too, although Zoe is his favorite. But that's for another podcast. So I promise you next podcast, if The Bachelor and Bachelorette is not your thing, we're not going to talk about that next podcast. I'm going to let Alan talk about this Memorial Day party. I'm going to save all that goodie for him because there's so much to unpack and so much to share that I don't want him to be robbed of that opportunity of sharing that with you. So please come back to the next podcast because that's going to be the one, the Memorial Day party tell all. You thought after the final rose was juicy on The Bachelor and Bachelorette? You wait after the Memorial Day pool party tell all. That very well could be on the next podcast. Some of you are probably very nervous hearing that right now. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be good. And I can't wait for Alan to join me and for you to join me then. And let's see, how does he close out the podcast? I love you. Is that what he says? I love you, babe. I love you. Or we love our podcast family. Something like that. Oh, I know. In the immortal words of Keanu Reeves, life is good when you have a good sandwich.